son Diddy Combs is quickly running out of options to escape a lengthy prison sentence. Once one of the most influential figures in music and business, Combs now finds himself at the center of a legal storm that has stripped away nearly every lifeline. The latest blow came when former President Donald Trump, once an ally and even a friend, confirmed publicly that he would not grant Diddy a pardon. For months, speculation swirled in political and entertainment circles that Diddy's legal team was quietly lobbying the Trump administration, seeking a presidential pardon before sentencing. While his lawyers initially denied these claims, insiders at the White House confirmed discussions had indeed taken place. According to Diddy's attorney, Mark Agnifilo, the music mogul was adamant. "Tell him I need a pardon. Tell him I deserve a pardon." But Trump, never known to forgive critics easily, made it clear that past hostility weighed heavily on his decision. During a televised interview, Trump admitted that he and Diddy had once been on good terms. However, when Trump entered politics, their relationship soured dramatically. Diddy openly criticized Trump during the 2016 and 2020 campaigns, going so far as to launch a movement aimed at removing him from office. In Trump's own words, Diddy had made terrible statements, comments that made it more difficult to consider helping him now. Adding to Diddy's problems, his $50 million bail request was rejected by the court. Prosecutors painted him as a violent threat to the community, citing past incidents of abuse and intimidation. The judge agreed, ruling that he would remain behind bars until sentencing. With his trial already delivering 2 felony convictions, Combs is staring at the very real possibility of spending decades, if not a lifetime, behind bars. The timing could not be worse. Prosecutors are now pushing for an even harsher sentence than originally expected, warning the court that Diddy has repeatedly shown violent behavior and a disregard for the law. As his sentencing date looms next month, Diddy's hopes of securing freedom rest on legal arguments that appear increasingly fragile. For Sean Diddy Combs, the collapse of his relationship with Donald Trump may be the single most devastating factor in his bid for freedom. At one time, the two were not only on friendly terms, but were often seen together in social and business circles. Trump even referred to Diddy as a good guy during his reality television days. That goodwill, however, evaporated when Trump launched his political career. Diddy became one of Trump's most outspoken celebrity critics. In interviews and on social media, he labeled Trump a danger to the country and predicted that his presidency could trigger a race war. In one particularly biting statement, he declared that white men like Trump need to be banished. These comments, amplified across television and radio, made their way back to the man in question. According to insiders close to the former president, Trump felt deeply disrespected, not just politically, but personally. When reporters pressed Trump about the possibility of a pardon for Combs, his answer was telling. "He used to really like me a lot," Trump said. "But when I ran for office, the relationship busted up. He said some not-so-nice things about me. It makes it more difficult." Though Trump stopped short of outright gloating, his words made it clear that personal loyalty, something he values above all else, was absent in this case. Complicating matters further is the role of Diddy's longtime rival, Curtis T. 50 Cent Jackson. As rumors of a possible pardon circulated, 50 Cent seized the opportunity to remind Trump of Diddy's past insults. He posted clips of Diddy's anti-Trump remarks on social media with captions like, "See, Trump doesn't like stuff like this, buddy. You talk too much." The campaign worked. Trump, who is famously sensitive to criticism, began distancing himself publicly from the idea of offering any help. Legal analysts point out that even if Trump had been open to granting a pardon, the process would have been slow. A presidential pardon cannot be issued until after sentencing has taken place, and even then, it typically requires a lengthy review by the Department of Justice. With prosecutors pushing for an extended prison term, Diddy would still likely serve years behind bars before any clemency could realistically be considered. While Diddy's public battle with Trump has captured headlines, the real threat lies in the courtroom. Prosecutors have made it clear they intend to seek the maximum penalty possible, painting Combs as a repeat offender with a history of violence. Their latest filings urge the judge to disregard standard sentencing guidelines and impose a harsher term than originally anticipated. In their opposition to Diddy's most recent bail request, prosecutors outlined a disturbing pattern of behavior. They argued that Combs has repeatedly shown himself to be a danger to the community, citing not only his high-profile disputes with ex-partners, but also allegations of intimidation and drug use within his inner circle. The court had already denied bail once, ruling that his violent history made him unfit for release, but the defense pressed again, this time with a $50 million offer. The judge was unmoved, siding with the prosecution's claim that no amount of money can guarantee community safety. The government's filing also accused Diddy of lying when he insisted that his alleged violent behavior ended in 2018 after his breakup with Cassie Ventura. Prosecutors presented evidence suggesting that violent incidents continued into 2024, undermining his credibility further. To them, this was not just about punishing past crimes, but preventing future harm. Behind the legal language lies a more personal reality. Prison could be one of the most dangerous environments for Diddy. Sources close to the case claim that several individuals are eager to settle old scores once he's behind bars. Unlike other high-profile inmates who manage to negotiate protective custody, Diddy's notoriety and the nature of the charges against him may make him an especially vulnerable target. Legal experts note that sentencing guidelines provide only a framework. Judges retain the authority to impose longer terms if they believe the circumstances justify it. In Diddy's case, the prosecution is openly urging the court to go beyond the guidelines, effectively pushing for a punishment that could keep him incarcerated for decades. With sentencing just weeks away, the stakes have never been higher. For Diddy, the courtroom is no longer just about legal strategy. It's about survival. As Sean Diddy Combs awaits sentencing, the weight of his fall from grace is impossible to ignore. Once hailed as a visionary in music, fashion, and business, he now faces the prospect of spending much of his life behind prison walls. For many observers, his downfall is more than just a celebrity scandal. It's the unraveling of a cultural icon who once seemed untouchable. What makes Diddy's situation especially dire is the intersection of law, politics, and personal rivalries. The rejection of his pardon hopes by Donald Trump wasn't simply a matter of legal procedure. It was the result of burned bridges, public insults, and a rivalry exploited by others, including 50 Cent. In the world of power and influence, relationships can make or break futures, and in Diddy's case, his past words have returned to haunt him at the worst possible moment. Meanwhile, prosecutors are doubling down on their effort to secure a lengthy prison term. Their filings emphasize not only Combs's past convictions, but also the broader narrative of violence and intimidation that has surrounded him for years. To them, Diddy is not just a fallen celebrity, but a continuing threat. A man who, if freed too soon, could resume the same patterns of abuse and manipulation. Even if he were somehow to secure a reduced sentence or eventual clemency, Diddy's future outside prison would be forever changed. His reputation in the entertainment industry has already been severely damaged, with former allies distancing themselves and potential business partners unwilling to risk association. Cassie Ventura's attorney called his defense a complete disgrace and an affront to survivors of domestic violence, a statement that resonates beyond the courtroom. For Diddy, the question now is not just whether he can avoid the harshest sentence, but whether he can ever rebuild what has been lost. His legacy, once defined by chart-topping hits, multi-million-dollar ventures, and cultural influence, now risks being overshadowed by a narrative of violence, betrayal, and political miscalculation. With sentencing just around the corner, one truth has become undeniable. The man who built an empire from music and ambition may soon be remembered not for his triumphs, but for his downfall.